Hello, everyone. This is Steve Woodhouse with the Marion County Tribune. For the very first edition of our new show, we're going to call it Woodcast for now. Do you think that's a good name, Dr. Aylsworth?
I like it, Steve.
Okay, we're going to go for that for now, but that's, I reserve the right to change that. But anyway, our initial guest today is about the vote on March 3rd regarding the future of the physical plant and equipment levy for the Pleasantville School District. And my guest is Dr. Tony Aylsworth, Superintendent of Pleasantville Schools, to tell me a little bit about the vote. Thank you for coming today, Dr. Aylsworth.
Thanks for having me, Steve. It's always fun to get together with you.
Absolutely. So just give me a little history about PEPL. What has the Pleasantville School District been able to do with it so far?
Yeah, so PEPL is a physical plant equipment levy. It's a $1.34 tax, property tax. That's per $1,000 of taxable valuation. We've had this in place since 1992. Over 80% of Iowa school districts have it, so we're not unique in that we have it. And so the maximum amount of years we can extend it out is 10 years. And so ours is set to expire in 2021, and we wanted to get out in front of this with voters and see if they'd be willing to commit to letting us have this for another 10-year run.
And so that $1.34 per 1,000, is that rate going to stay consistent if voters choose to renew this for you?
It would. It'd stay consistent for the duration of the 10 years.
And what are some of the projects that PEPL has been able to help the district do?
Yeah, so the district gets two streams of revenue that we can use for facilities upkeep and maintenance, as well as facilities construction. And so that would be PEPL, and then the SAVE, which I know we're going to talk about a little later. But specific to PEPL, some things the districts use that revenue stream for include upkeep of our roofs. 6.5 years ago when I started, we undertook a pretty heavy-duty tuck pointing, which is brick repair. That was a big part of our facilities planning. And then you just go right down the line of things that range from classroom carpet, fixtures, interior painting. A couple of years ago, we undertook a medium-sized project where we remodeled our baseball and softball facilities. We've purchased vehicles, school buses is another area. Anything above $500 is what the law says that we can use PEPL for as it relates to facilities maintenance and upkeep. One commonly misunderstood thing, we cannot use PEPL funds to pay for people, salaries, benefits, things like that. It's specific to maintenance, upkeep, and construction.
And so what are some of the projects that the district would like to have? Like, what do you have in mind for, if you wanted to renew for 10 years, what are some things you'd like to accomplish during those 10 years?
Yeah, so we've still got a lot of work to do. We've done a lot of work, and that's been the case for many years here, but some of the things we can see on the horizon include just upkeep. I'll start at our elementary. We've got a lot of interior and exterior painting that needs to be done. Our elementary principal, Mr. Roth, told me that the Department of Ed comes down every couple of years to look at our playground equipment. We replaced one set of playground equipment last summer, and it appears that we need to give some serious consideration to replacing the rest of that playground equipment just due to safety and ongoing changes in regard to the things they expect around how playground equipment looks and acts and feels, and they have fall zones and things like that change all the time, and so we're a little out of compliance right now that we need to get up to speed with. Shifting over to the junior high and high school, we've got some restrooms that need to be remodeled. They need new partitions, fixtures, things of that nature. We've got some painting that needs to be done in that building as well. The biggest things that we'll be looking at include phases 4 and 5 of our roof replacement cycle. And then, just all the way down to some smaller things like we know that we need to get some of the water bottle filling stations. If you've been in our building enough times to know those, the old drinking fountains have been kind of slowly phased out, and we phased in kind of a cool thing that our kids can fill their water bottles up, and it seems to be a hit with the kids and the staff. So we need to get those down in the junior high. So it ranges from some pretty big projects like roofs and brickwork all the way down to some smaller projects like partitioning off our locker room, showers, and restrooms, and getting different water bottle filling stations in place. So a range of options. Outside of the schools itself, probably the biggest thing that the community is aware of is that we really have an outdated stadium and track. That's an area the board's been talking about for 2 to 4 years now. And we're a little unique in that Pleasantville is one of the very few schools left in Iowa that has a non-hard surface track. Our track is an old brick style crushed cinder track, and so we know that we need to update that. I'm glad that the board is looking at this hard to see what scope of a project do we need to undertake to serve our kids and our students and our community well with that facility. So that's an area we're looking hard at. We're also looking at the possibility of continuing to replace school buses and get our vehicle fleet up in good shape.
And of course, talking about the track project, your other stadiums, your softball stadium, your baseball stadium, are both fantastic, state of the art. And of course, kids just take extra pride in that and having a fine facility to play their opponents in and to have their fans come and cheer them on in. And I'm a fan of the Pleasantville Stadium as it currently is because I like the uniqueness of all the different stadiums that we have around Marion County. But obviously, there are just safety issues regarding the stadium we need to think about as well.
Yeah, we've had an analysis of our track and stadium, and we're out of compliance in several areas. I mean, when it ranges from the number of restrooms that we have on site to the safety of our bleachers to the safety of our track, and it's not ADA accessible. It's almost it's almost embarrassing the lack of accessibility for folks in wheelchairs or that have a hard time getting around. And so, we've been lucky to have such good teams and strong competition over the years, but really our facility doesn't match the quality of what we're putting out on the field. I mean, the field itself looks great. Our maintenance staff does a great job of making it look beautiful on Friday nights, particularly in the fall. But we know that we're way behind the times in terms of having accessible for our community and our patrons, and having something safe for our kids to run on and work out on. It really is something that will benefit all other activities. And another issue that pops up frequently for me is, our marching band has certainly made great strides, a once very proud program, and we're seeing kind of an incline in numbers and excitement around that program again. And even just the amount of times they're able to get on the field and practice their routines, it's a situation where we really need to have a facility that's accessible to all the programs in the community. And so I'm glad that the board has been looking hard at this to make sure that they do something that's thoughtful, but also reasonable in terms of how much money we spend on this project.
Absolutely, because I don't think artificial turf or some of these bells and whistles you might find elsewhere might not fit in as well with Pleasantville, given, like you say, the amenities that you have available. So, anything more you want to add about the PEPL? Because we also have a vote on the save penny. You want a new revenue purpose statement for that. But before we move on, I just want to make sure you have everything covered for PEPL that you want to cover.
Yeah, I mean, really, kind of as a transition, Steve, the PEPL and SAVE are similar and different in some ways. And the way they're similar is that basically when you look at the list of projects or things you could do with either pot of money, it's basically the same list of things you can do with them. So, as I mentioned earlier, PEPL can be used for construction, for maintenance and upkeep, for fixtures, furniture, equipment, vehicles. SAVE essentially is the same list of permissions. And so, although they're funded much differently. So PEPL, as I mentioned earlier, is a property tax. It's $1.34 per thousand of taxables. The vote we'll have on Tuesday night. On SAVE, I framed it this way for our staff and our community as I've made the rounds trying to get the word out on this. What we're asking for with SAVE in terms of the vote is basically like a permission slip, right? So last legislative session, our legislature extended the amount of time that the SAVE program is going to be in place. And along with that, in the past, the school board could just authorize the school district to use those funds. And so one of the slight changes that came out of the last legislative session is that that's no longer the case, that in order to have permission from the community to use those funds, we've got to go out and do this revenue purpose statement. I almost wish they'd call it a permission slip. That would seem to make more sense to people who are involved in the educational world. But we're looking for the community's permission to spend that pot of money that the state has sitting there collected for us in that sales tax revenue.
And so we need to approve a new revenue purpose statement for you to be able to spend that money. Has it really changed since that has originally been imposed?
No, in fact, there's going to be somewhere between 50 and 70 school districts across the state, even in our area, that are trying to extend their revenue purpose statement. And I think we all use basically the same language as far as the way it looks and the types of things we're asking. It's kind of a lengthy question. That's what happens when you get too many lawyers involved with how it should look. But it is kind of a catch-all that gives us permission to spend the money on things that are permissible in accordance with the law.
Okay. And if by any chance that either of these fail, can voters expect to see it again?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are specific dates now in the law where we can run another vote. I guess what I have told patrons as that question has come up, Steve, is that, if one or the other of our ballot questions is unsuccessful, I think our plan would be to sit down and conduct some sort of an analysis of where did we go wrong, what happened and why were people not in support of this, and then go back to the drawing board. And certainly at some point in time we would bring it back, because both of these revenue streams are important for us. And it's something that every Iowa school district has come to expect and count on in terms of their facility upkeep and development.
And so, basically, but overall, we're talking about the fiscal plant health and future spending, a better word is future investment in our schools, because that's much more accurate. But the current status of Pleasantville schools, the buildings are in decent shape. The equipment's. What is the current status of it?
Yeah, so, our district facilities are in good shape. We've got the capacity to grow. We expect to see this very steady enrollment growth in Pleasantville. I'm happy to see some community development in terms of housing and availability, because that's one of the things that we know that has inhibited Pleasantville in the past is housing is very hard to come by. Ask any of the realtors there in town, and houses very rarely sit on the market longer than 3 to 5 days. So I'm pleased to see all that. We expect to see facility-wise, we'll be set up to accommodate growth and handle the future for the foreseeable future. We're in good shape facilities-wise. Some of our facilities are a little older. The high school in particular is getting older, but there's no reason to expect we can't get another 20 to 25 plus years out of that facility. So really the biggest priority is just taking care of what we have and keeping it in good shape and working order, and that's certainly where both of these budgets, SAVE and PEPL, would come into play. And then we've got one major facilities hurdle left, and I think that's the stadium and track.
And so you've been with the district now for, is it 10 years now?
No, it might seem like it to you, but this is we're halfway through my 6th year.
6 years, and that's how long you've been there.
It seems to go quick.
It does. It does. But, working with you, time seems to fly when you're having fun. I enjoy working with you, and I have all these years. But, you're asking people to make an investment in the school district, and you yourself have made a significant investment. You have children that go to school there. You live in the district.
Yep.
And are you planning to stick around and see all this through?
Absolutely. People ask me that frequently. The lifespan of a superintendent in the state of Iowa is actually 3 to 5 years. So I've already bucked the norm there. But my family loves Pleasantville, and I'm going to stick around as long as they'll have me.
Okay. I believe that's all we have for today with Dr. Aylsworth. Is there anything more you want to add, Dr. Aylsworth?
No, I just appreciate you doing this. I'm flattered that you asked me to be the first one, and hope it would encourage people that hear this podcast to get out and vote Tuesday night. And thanks for having me. And I would like to thank you. I mean, you're a great supporter of our schools. You do a lot for Pleasantville, and appreciate your coverage of our community and our school.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Dr. Aylsworth. I'm Steve Woodhouse. I promise I will sound better next time after I get over this cold. Thank you all for taking the time to share it with us.